Good afternoon, Greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. Sarah Tymon is on the Schuylkill Expressway right now, so she'll be here momentarily. I know everyone in the Greater Philadelphia area knows what that's like. And we are going to be talking about what the second half of the year could bring in the real estate market. The listing access debate is continuing. And we've got some incredible startups that are getting hundreds of millions of dollars in funding in the greater Philadelphia area. And we'll talk about what that means for people that live in some of these communities, whether it's Malvern, South Jersey, Newtown Square, Lower Gwinnett. And we've got some killer new listings coming to the market as well. So Sarah and I both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And if you get some value out of this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You need some help. Click on the link in the comments, and we can certainly assist you with whatever you have going on. So why don't we jump in here? And we're going to be talking about what the second half of the year could bring for the real estate market. So, a lot of people always want to know what's going to happen next. And the preface is that nobody has a crystal ball. But what Sarah and I are going to break down are the housing forecasts on home prices, existing home sales forecasts, mortgage rates, and then what could be happening locally here and what's happened so far this year, because we know that real estate's super local and the Northeast is not like some of these other marketplaces. So from a national level, home price growth, there are 6 different projections that are out there. So Cotality, that was the company previously known as CoreLogic. They are forecasting 4.3% home price growth from April of 25 to April of 26. Fannie Mae is predicting 4.1% growth in home prices. The Home Price Expectation Survey, which is 100 housing industry experts being polled, they have an average of 3.3% annual price growth in 2025. NAR, the National Association of Realtors, is predicting 3% appreciation in 25 and 4% in 2026. And the Mortgage Bankers Association is predicting 1.3% growth by the end of 2025 and less than 1% in 2026. And Zillow, they're going to be the housing bear here. Okay, so Zillow is projecting a 1.4% decline in home values for 2025 because of rising inventory and hesitant buyer activity. Previously, Zillow had forecasted a steeper drop of 1.9%. So while the outlook is still a little negative, the revision suggests some stabilizing. And then you've got to go local, right? So the biggest places, according to Cotality, where you're seeing corrections happen are Florida, Texas, Hawaii, and Washington, D.C., and they've entered that negative territory for price growth. Cape Coral, Florida, tops the list with a 7% year-over-year decline. So it's very important to talk about the local data, which leads me to what's happened so far this year in the greater Philadelphia area. So what we've seen on the median home price is up 5.6%. And what you're going to find across the Northeast is that this is what's happening locally. Prices are not declining in markets like Philadelphia, Chester County, Delaware County, Montgomery County, because there's just not enough inventory out there. How was the traffic, Sarah? Sounds like it was amazing as always on 76 and the Schuylkill Expressway. So while these predictions are important to look at, I mean, these are some real experts here that are predicting what's happening with home price growth. You can't look at this and take that to the bank in our local market. So, because what we're seeing is that even where inventory lies right now, inventory has grown so far this year. We're up 15% on active listings through the month of April, but that's not nearly enough to get back to a market where we're going to see prices decline, because that only gives us a 2.17 month supply. So while you're getting ready here, Sarah, curious, these national headlines that are talking about, price growth slowing. Zillow predicted a 1.4% negative decline in pricing. How dangerous is that for buyers to look at these national numbers here and think that's what's happening locally?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always important to focus on the the local data, because if you look at national data, that doesn't really help you. It all comes down to where you are and what your local market's like. And I think that sometimes the national numbers can be misleading and kind of set you up to not be on track with what's going on.
Well, that's really well said, and that's why she's selling a lot of houses, because she's able to educate folks, not just tell them they're right or wrong. So, pricing, we're going to see probably be a little more robust when it comes to what's happening in our marketplace, simply because we have lower inventory. So be careful with these home price growth forecasts that are coming out from these 6 different predictors. Now, existing home sales is a little different, and this one I find fascinating. So existing home sales as of June 10th, the predictions from NAR, they're the most bullish, predicting a 6% increase in existing home sales for 2025, followed by an 11% bounce in 2026. And Fannie Mae, the other 2 of the 3 predictors here, they're looking at a more moderate recovery with a 4.4% increase in existing home sales in 2025, which would be 4.238 million. And Zillow is expecting 4.12 million homes to sell, which would be a 1.4% increase from 2024, but down slightly from their previous forecast. And you've got the Mortgage Bankers Association predicting 4.3 million home sales in 2025. So we've got a range really of 1.4 to 6% more homes selling this year. Do you think that's accurate? I mean, do you think we're actually going to see that number of homes sell? I mean, I'm curious, and then we'll talk about the local data as well. But nationally, what do you see happening, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, the deals are different right now, I think, but they're absolutely still happening. So I think that number makes sense.
So I think it's going to be relatively flat. I mean, some of the NAR at 6%, I think, might be a little bullish. When I look at what's happening so far through the month of May, we've seen closed sales in the greater Philadelphia area. So this is, to be clear, it's Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, Delaware counties. You've got 4 counties in South Jersey, right along the Delaware River, and then the 2 northernmost counties in the state of Delaware. So that's what they're calling the metro area. We've seen a 0.5% increase in closed sales through the month of May, and we're seeing pending sales are down 1.5%. That number was a little more surprising because we know June there's a lot of sales that happen, and May there's a lot of homes that get put under contract. So I'm clear locally, we're going to be pretty flat. I mean, while the supply is growing, I mean, you're talking about really like 130, 140 more homes that sold. I don't know that we're going to see that many more transactions happen in 2025, just because there's people are really dug in. Like, there's a lot of folks that just aren't moving unless they really need to move. I mean, is that fair to say? I mean, what's your take on the local data versus what's happening nationally?
Yeah, I mean, I think in most cases, people are like, if they can make their current situation work, they're trying to. But I think there's also a large group of people that have been in that category for a while, and now maybe it is at the point where they can't make the current situation work anymore. So you're always going to have people that have kind of stayed the max that they can, and now it's like, all right, we gotta do something here.
Well, and what's interesting about that, so you talk about what's happening there. So there's a report that's out there. It's from T360. It's called the Home Demand Index for the Greater Philadelphia area. So they assign a number to this, right? So the Home Demand Index right now in the month of June is a 90, which they consider steady. The demand index from the previous month was 91. From the prior year was 87. So that would indicate there's a little bit of bump in demand there. I mean, it's a 3.4% increase. And the current reading, it says there's relatively stable buyer activity. And to give some perspective, this goes from 0 all the way to, like 150. 130 and above is considered high. 110 to 129 is considered moderate. 70 to 89 is low. And 90 to 109 steady. So the minor month-over-month dip might reflect like seasonal slowing. And I don't know about you, but these past couple of weeks, I mean, people have had a million different things going on that are not related to real estate, whether it's like graduations or schools ending or whatever else is going on. So, then they kind of jump into entry-level single-family homes that dipped to an 82 from an 84. mid-range single-family homes from 350 to 765,000. They're saying that that's up from the previous month, which I get the sense there's a lot of people looking for those kind of homes specifically.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm seeing most activity.
Yeah, I mean, because they either want to. You're seeing a lot of first-time home buyers go right to the mid-size home, and that's what a lot of people don't realize, because these folks in their like 30s or early 40s, maybe they don't own a property and they're looking for that I want to be somewhere 20-year home, which is really what you can see in that 350 to 765 range, depending on where you are. So,
right. I mean, I think that is very true. There's a lot of people that have kind of skipped that first starter home and went right into the home that falls into that price range there.
Well, and when you look at what happened, I mean, a lot of those people, they probably would have bought something like 5 years ago, and they just didn't for a million different reasons. And younger generations don't prioritize home ownership. That's been documented at least earlier in their lives. They're not buying that starter home. You saw people prioritize things like experiences or travel and different stuff there. So that's a really good observation on your part. So, with the pent up demand, I think you're absolutely right. I just don't know that there's still enough inventory, and that's where you see the multiple offers happening, probably more than most places, is that mid-level single family home. So it sounds like we're kind of on the same page here in terms of maybe there's a few more homes that sell, but sales are going to be pretty flat. A lot of people are predicting there's going to be a bigger bounce back next year, which I do agree with. I think some people are going to get to like the screw it phase where they just don't want to be in their house anymore. They're just like, it's time to go, and then they're gonna start listing their properties. So the last prediction here for the second half of the year is the mortgage rate forecast. So what do you think is going to happen with rates before I tell everyone we go over the predictions here? So right now we're coming in today. It's like 6.997% is basically where we're seeing rates.
I mean, I think like for where we're going to finish the year out.
Yep.
Mid sixes.
All right. Well, Sarah is in line with all these predictions here. So she knows her stuff. MBA, Mortgage Bankers Association, anticipating rates will average 6.6% in Q4, easing slightly to 6.5% for the first 2 quarters of 2026, and 6.3% by the end of 26. That would be incredible, if you ask me. NAR is pegging the second half average at 6.4%, and then dropping to 6.1% in 2026. And Fannie Mae is the most optimistic, forecasting 6.1% by the end of the year and 5.8% by the end of 26. What do you think about some of these predictions?
I mean, I think that they revised them a lot.
But, you're right about that.
I think it would be great if we could be below the mid sixes, but I think there's like the likelihood of that happening. And like for certain people, you may be able to secure that rate, you know, because it does, like the advertised rate is what they are advertising, and then your specific circumstances can change that slightly. So, yeah, but I think, I like the 6.3 could happen by the end of the year. But I think for the most part, we're going to be just kind of staying steady at that mid six.
I mean, if we get mid sixes, I'm high fiving like everybody at our office. Yeah. I would be pleasantly surprised. I just don't. They've been so persistently at 7, and there is this like log jam right now, and everyone's thinking like the government can make these rates come down, which we know isn't the case. I mean, I know the president's really putting a lot of pressure on Jerome Powell to like lower rates. Like, I mean, that's been clear. Until the jobs numbers come down or we see inflation cool, which may happen. I mean, a lot of people, this has been the prediction all year. This hasn't really changed. It was 6.35 was the predictions at the beginning of the year. I'd be very excited for the market and for our organization and for people. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, I'm more pessimistic on this one than you are, and I just don't know that we're gonna see it happen. I mean,
I think for people that are like holding out for lower rates, it's risky because, you know, if they're saying by the end of the year we could be where they're saying, like the likelihood of that happening, like that's not a guarantee. And the difference between where they are now to that, you can work. It comes down to your monthly payment for the most part, and we can work with your budget and try to make those numbers work by, you know, negotiating things out. And that's probably going to be you're going to have more success doing that than just waiting for rates to drop, because if they do, other people are waiting for that as well.
You're absolutely right. And I had this conversation with someone yesterday on the phone. And here's where, it's very important to understand the local options. And Pennsylvania is very fortunate there to have programs like PHFA for first time buyers. They have options where a conventional loan, a 30-year fix, is getting quoted at the beginning of the week at 6.99%, right? So it's basically 7%. FHA is coming in at 6.5. So that's a different option for somebody. Now, your payment may actually be higher there with mortgage insurance and PMI.
Mhm.
A PHFA first time buyer program, and this is subject to income and purchase price limits. Yesterday was getting quoted at 5.875%.
Wow.
So most agents don't even know about this stuff. Like, I mean, and they don't understand it. If you're out there wondering about rates, Sarah said focus on the payment. That is excellent advice. What I would also encourage you to do is talk to a couple different local lenders. Maybe talk to some national lenders that have these programs. Doesn't really matter which. Ask about what programs you have with lower rate options, because this could be a conventional, it could be an FHA, a VA, a USDA. That's the difference between somebody affording a home and not. Now,
Right.
there's some limits there. There's purchase price limits. You have to use individual applicants' approval. Like, there's all these factors. If you can have that option, I mean, imagine if you were to like drop your mortgage rate. Imagine if you go to your buyers you're working with right now. You got a whole stable of them. And I can get your rate a point less than what you're getting quoted right now. They'd
It's
probably go
huge.
buy a home, right?
Right.
So this is the kind of local information you need to have. So PHFA, and we should probably have one of our lender partners come on and talk about PHFA, because I don't think a lot of people know about it, and it's one of the best tools that are out there, in my view, to help. So any other pieces of advice for folks that are price sensitive in terms of like monthly payment going into the second half of the year, Sarah?
Talk to multiple lenders. Like, don't just talk to one, talk to a couple. And I think when they know that you're talking to other, and like, you don't have to hide that, like, don't hide that you're talking to other lenders. Let them know. Like, I'm having conversations with, multiple lenders here, trying to figure out what the best program is for me, what the best fit is, what the best price is. And, be upfront about that, because, I think that's the nice thing to do, to let them know
Mm-hmm.
that like you're talking to other people. And it helps you out as well, because there may be things that they can, you know, adjust. And they're going to be more likely to do that from the get-go if they know that you are talking to other people. And different mortgage brokers offer different programs. Not everybody has access to everything. Not everyone knows about like how to piece everything together, and how different programs can kind of like uh work together. Like, you don't just
Mm-hmm.
have to be one thing. They can like combine things and do things to kind of customize something for you. So take the time to have the conversations with a few people, because you're going to, probably end up with the best product with the best pricing, and you can feel good about what you end up with, because you had those different conversations and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of vetted the field a little bit, and you know that what you got is the best. You don't want to be like second guessing that.
And I think about when we have to interview against other agents, right?
Mhm.
I mean, one thing we ask all the time is, "Hey, are you talking to any other agents?"
Right.
Because you want to know the situation you're walking into. And to me, a good professional, a good lender, even a good attorney or a good accountant, they're going to change maybe what they'll tell you, or maybe give you more information than if they think you're just going to come in and go work with them. So that's really good advice. And I would say the same about real estate agents. Like, I encourage people to talk to other real
Yeah.
estate agents, because one, I'm really confident in what we offer. I
Hmm.
know what we're going to do differently than a lot of other folks. And at the same time, you might need just to, you got to talk to some other people to know you got a good one. It's like looking at homes,
Yeah.
right? You got to look at some bad homes to see the good ones.
Yep.
So that's really smart advice. And as we get into the second half of the year, I'd imagine that, the people that are making decisions now, I do see some opportunity, because competition is waned a little bit here. Although showings did pop up a little bit locally, they're up about 2.4% week over week. They were down 7% year over year, but we are seeing a little bit of a pop up here. I would imagine that you want to make sure you're getting people that know how to negotiate a sale, that know how to read the tea leaves and see the signs that there might be an opportunity in the marketplace, like high days on market or what questions they ask the listing agent. So make sure you're talking to multiple agents as well, because that to me is the best way to find the person that's going to be right for you. Any other predictions you have for the second half of the year, locally, nationally, Sarah? What do you think is going to happen?
No, I think pretty much what we covered there.
Yeah, and I think it's important for buyers and sellers to know the next 6 months aren't going to be like the last six. Like you talked about how difficult it is putting deals together right now. I don't know that it's any more difficult than it was pre-pandemic, but anyone that like only has experience from 2020 on, they're a little spoiled.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that they're more difficult,
not difficult, yes.
They're different. Like and I would say having those conversations with the other side there, if you're representing the buyer, like I don't know how people don't have the first step be to talk to the listing agent and like find out as much as they can so that you can kind of align things. But you don't have to jump right to, giving everything away. Like have those conversations and really find out what the situation is and where you can do what.
Yeah, and I'd encourage the agents out there, and I would even the consumers, make sure your agent is actually picking up the phone and talking to somebody. I've had, I don't know if this ever happened to you. I've had 2 people in the past week. Hey, I've been texting you all weekend. You know what number they're texting? The office line. I've been texting you all weekend. I've got someone that's interested, and I'm like, what number are you texting? Like, what's happening here? And I think you've got to make sure there's some due diligence going on. I mean, that's such a lazy move as an agent. If you would have called the office line, you would have realized it was an office line. Maybe like send an email, fill out the feedback, like all the different stuff that's out there. This happens more than you would think.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, depending on what type of phone you have when you text it, if the color is green, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should call too.
That's because you are an intelligent, smart agent, Sarah, that knows what they're doing instead of, well, I think this is common sense. I mean, I don't know. But this happens more than you would think. So as a consumer, make sure you're clear on what your agent's actually doing. Because a lot of times I think people make mistakes and they don't really realize it. And it can cost you the house. I mean, that's the reality. So I see a lot of opportunity in the second half of the year, especially if you got shut out the first half. High days on market as a buyer. Home sellers, I mean, I still see a ton of opportunity for you out there as long as you get the right person marketing the property in the right way. There's deals to be done, and there's going to be some people with intent out there. So don't mail it in. We're not even halfway through the year yet if you look at the calendar.
Right.
So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about how this listing access debate is continuing, and then we've got some incredible information about local startups in Philadelphia that are making a huge leap and raising hundreds of millions of dollars when it comes to funding and what that could mean for some of these local markets. We'll break that down next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB-860 AM. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB-860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Tymon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And this listing access debate is continuing. It won't stop. We're going to talk about what it means for consumers locally next. And there's a couple startups in the greater Philadelphia area that are really making some noise. We'll break down all that and what that means for homeowners and buyers and sellers. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team to talk about how some of these things might impact your real estate plans, you can talk to Sarah directly by clicking on the link in the comments. So we've got this listing debate going on, Sarah, and I want to hit on this first. We've talked about this clear cooperation stuff at length, and it was refreshing to hear what CEO Damian Eel said from Realtor.com. So I'm going to read the statement to you, and I want you to talk about what it means for local consumers. So we've heard Zillow come out. We've heard Compass come out. I'm seeing agents now post like not all the listings are on Zillow on social media. It's like if that's your strategy to get business, you might need to pick up the phone, but that's a whole nother story. Everyone's got an opinion on this. I think this whole thing is stupid, if you ask me. And Damien, he was on the Knowledge Brokers pod with us. He came out with a blog post afterwards because we asked him, like, what do you think? Obviously, Realtor.com is a big portal that's out there. And they took thoughtful consideration. And basically what he said is that Realtor.com fully supports the principles and policy of clear cooperation because it is at the heart of the most consumer-friendly marketplace on the planet. The genesis of this open marketplace was some 30 years ago when NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and MLSs facilitated the digitization of listings nationwide, the adoption of common standards for information sharing, and the broadcast of those listings across the internet, originally only on Realtor.com. We asked him about this, and he basically said it's silly to argue anything else other than everyone should have access to all the listings, which I appreciate it. And I think there's people on all sides of this thing here where you got Zillow saying, well, we're not going to list these. You got Compass saying, we're not going to put all our stuff out there. Redfin's doing the same thing Zillow is. I mean, are you glad to hear someone seems to have a level head in all this?
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, you want like what's best for business getting done, like what's best for the seller, what's best for the buyer, what's best for the agents for being able to like access everything.
I agree. How frustrating is it when, and I've been on the side of this, but I want to get your opinion, where people say they didn't find out about a listing, and they kind of blame the agent sometimes. So 100%. So talk about being on the other side of that argument, because it's a tough situation to be in, and these folks that are arguing one way or the other. I mean, it's really up to the seller, in my view. But what's that like getting that as a professional?
Yeah. So you mean like if you have a buyer who
we didn't know this home was on the market,
right? And always then it's that one was perfect. Like
they didn't even see the house, and they were ready to close.
It was because especially because it's like already gone, and they didn't see it, they didn't know about it. It's that one would have been it, and now everything's over. It's frustrating because you want to be able to bring everything to your client. You want them to be able to have access and see all the homes that fit their criteria. And but also like as an agent, you don't have the time to be just like, going through a million different channels to try and like locate some of these listings. For every client every day. Like you typically have people on your, like I like to have people on an auto search kind of as like a backup so that that everything, because not every day are you going to be able to get up and first thing go through for all of your clients and search for properties for them. So you want to have them on some type of auto search so that stuff is, so that, like things don't slip through the cracks. And then I like to comb through and try and pull out individual listings to shoot over to my clients. But you can't, it has to be ones that you're able to find.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the problem. And, to me, it's just, this whole thing with, we're going to, and I want to give you some stats here to back this up. I think it's actually pretty important. This thing about, hey, Zillow's going to ban them. I get what Zillow's doing. They got a business model. That's fine. They can do whatever they want. Everyone's got their own business model here. For consumers, for local consumers, it really enforces the importance of having someone that's got good relationships, that understands what's coming to the market, and that like knows where to find these things. And you get these agents that, hey, we don't think Zillow should be doing that, but then they're hiding their listings from other people. It's so hypocritical. It just makes absolutely no sense. There's some data out there. It's Mike Delpreet, who's one of these industry analysts, and he is estimating that there's roughly 7,000 private exclusives that are going to be banned from Zillow come June 30th. So to give some perspective here in terms of how many active listings are on the market right now. So I'm looking at where's the inventory here? So right now we're seeing 825,761 active listings on the market. So that's based on the beginning of the week. So let's just take 7,000 divided by 825. Let's do some quick math here, Sarah. That's 0.8% of the market. So it's less than 1% of the market. And in some cases, that could be the home someone wants. Like you said, it's always the one they can't have. But then who knows what's going on in these houses? I mean, you don't know. But the whole thing is hypocritical. I'm glad Damien came out and said this is just silly, because everyone's like has this righteous stand here. And what's best for the consumer, the vast majority of the time, is to get the listing out there to everybody, unless you're like a movie star or an athlete. I mean, how many of those people are walking around? I mean, even we've worked with some people that you could put in that category that they followed the normal process. It wasn't like some big secret thing. So I don't know if there's much more to say about this. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think just like, again, it comes down to like, like what's local, and that just is not our market for the most part. Like, yes, we've had those clients, but you know, we're not in LA, you know.
I think that's exactly that sums it up so well. I mean, we're not in LA.
Right.
We've seen major athletes list their properties on the market. Like it's in the news. Like it's all over. You go on realtor.com or the MLS and find these places. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's, I think everyone just kind of, it's almost like I don't know if you can say it, like a pissing contest. Like that's really what this sounds like right now. I don't know if we're going to get bleeped here. They'll let us know. So, excuse me. I hate when that. Thank you, sir. Very kind. All right. So that's enough of that. What I do want to talk about here, and I'm much more interested in this. Did you realize the amount of local startups that are getting this mega funding in the suburban marketplace here? This was shocking to me. This information came out June 12th. Philadelphia and the surrounding counties made the biggest leap in any city in 2025 rankings of the world's top startup ecosystems. Philadelphia ranks 13th globally.
Wow.
And they secured $3.3 billion in investments in 2024, specifically AI, life sciences, and advanced manufacturing. I mean, this wasn't even on my radar.
No, mine either.
So let's talk about some of these companies here. I think it's actually pretty fascinating. So, and there's a lot to unpack here. So the largest venture capital deal. So if you don't know what a venture capital deal is, it's basically when you get money from a venture capitalist and that they invest in the company to help you scale the company, and they take an ownership percentage and then eventually want to move toward the sale. $300 million was raised by a company called Uniquity Bio in Malvern, right? This is right in our backyard here. And when you look at this company, so they develop innovative and needed medicines. This is right from their website, with an unparalleled blend of scientific rigor and operational agility, so they can deliver powerful solutions. And they're backed by Blackstone. Again, they raised $300 million last year, and they are developing all these things for immunology, inflammation, and this is right in Malvern. I mean, that is incredible to me that's happening. And that's going to have an impact on the local market here. I mean, and then you have another company. It's called Third Arc Bio in Lower Gwynedd. Once I get done explaining these, Sarah, I want to get your reaction on this. So they also are working on advanced antibody technology by unlocking biology of immune synapses to address like tumors and autoimmune diseases. So like this is like some important stuff here. And the third company that got a large amount of financing. It was $165 million for Third Arc Bio. The other one was Aravent Biopharma. They raised $175 million, and they're based in Newtown Square. And that's their company. Just to give you an idea what they do, they work on. They're a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company dedicated to identifying, developing, and the commercialization of different types of medicines that are going to address unmet medical needs of patients with difficult to treat diseases, beginning with cancer. Like I'm all in on all that. Like this is incredible stuff. This is all happening right in our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So what do you think this kind of, I mean, when I hear startups, I think of like Silicon Valley and like those places. What do you think this means for our local market with these kind of medical companies coming here doing some really incredible work? I mean, I was floored to see all this. What's your breakdown?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that, step one is getting the funding and everything, and that then they'll continue to grow and hire and expand. And so that's exciting. Interesting that 3 of the 4 there are all like bio companies. I'm not sure what RunPod is.
I'll tell you.
Looks like that's
I think that's AI.
Okay.
So RunPod, it's that's more of like an AI company. So it's runpod.io, and they're trained, fine-tune, and deploy AI models. So That's in Mount Laurel, so that's on the other side of the river. But it seems like there is a like biotech hub in the suburban counties in Philadelphia for sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
So here's, I wanted to see kind of like, what does this mean for real estate? Like, it's great to see these companies coming here, and there's a couple things to be aware of. I do think you're going to see more lab buildings being built.
Okay.
And imagine you're going to see like developers start to turn some of these like old office buildings into labs because there's a big office vacancy right now. I think this could be an opportunity. It's already happening in King of Prussia. Um, but it's also like it's expensive to do that. So it's going to probably be places like near highways. Now you got Malvern's right by 202. Newtown Square is close to the Blue Route. So I think you could see some of these vacant office buildings get turned into lab buildings because you got to think about commuting if they're going to have more people come there.
Yeah.
You look at like Glaxo, right? Like Glaxo expanded, and they were originally in King of Prussia. They moved out towards Collegeville, and that's right by 422. That's a good example.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's great too for like a good use because I mean, vacant office buildings don't do anyone any good. So being able to kind of repurpose that, and even though I'm sure it is expensive to go in and do that, like then it'll have like a positive use.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many. I mean, look at like the Exton Mall is a great example too, or like the Wanamaker building. The people are all up in arms that what's going to happen with that, and these commercial buildings kind of sit there. So if they can repurpose them for something like this, that's going to bring jobs to the area. I mean, they're getting this kind of funding. They're paying people. So, that's going to be a big plus. And, I also think it might drive some rental costs up because if you own like a small business, finding an affordable place to rent in like Malvern or Newtown Square might get a little tougher. I mean, because these companies are probably going to take like 50,000 to 150,000 square feet of lab and office space in the next couple of years. That's several big office buildings. Like to give you some perspective, the building we're in, I mean, we've got way too much space, and that's only 10,000 square feet. That's just where our office is, let alone everything else. So you might see office rents go up. What do you think it means for housing prices? Do you think there's going to be a lot of people relocating here? What's your observation on that, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they're building these large labs, they're going to need people in them to work them. That's not really a remote type of job that you can do from a distance.
Good point.
So yeah, I mean, I guess depending on the size of the companies, more people coming in means they need a place to live.
Yeah. Well, I'd be curious how many hires they're going to make. I mean, because a lot of this stuff is like, you have to be on site here. This is going to be like I'm working from home on a Zoom camera. And if you're, because these areas like Malvern and Newtown Square, they're already hot markets to begin with. Lower Gwinnett is the same thing. And I'm clear they're going to be hiring from out of state. I mean, because of the stuff they're doing, that there's going to be some specialists there. I can't imagine everyone's going to be local that already lives here.
Right.
So I don't know if it's going to be enough though to make home prices like explode. I think I think maybe some of there might be some more demand, but you probably need more companies to come in to really cause housing prices to go up. But what I do like about this, I think it's great to have thriving companies in office parks because there is so much vacant space right now. What do you think about commuting? Think it's going to make it worse to commute? Better? I mean, commuting kind of sucks around here in general. So,
I mean, I don't know that just the addition of this will suddenly that you're going to see a change in traffic patterns. Because while this would be like an influx of people coming in, at the same time, I'm sure other things are closing and there's always some, as more come in, some leave, yada, yada. So I don't know that it would necessarily disrupt traffic patterns, and because we're already in traffic's not great around here.
We were talking about getting to a Phillies game last week.
My God.
And I mean, so Sarah and I both live along the main line. She's a little further west than I am. On a good day, I can get, and a good day meaning there's no traffic, I could probably get to Center City in 16 to 18 minutes, which isn't bad. And obviously it's a little longer getting down to the stadiums. I mean, it took us 45, 50 minutes to get down there.
It took us over an hour.
Yeah, that makes sense from where you're coming from. And I don't think that these biotech companies are going to ruin the traffic's already horrible around here as it is. So I think that's maybe maybe the lesson here more than anything else. If you can avoid the Schuylkill, but that's probably why they're positioning these places in the suburbs. One, it's probably cheaper. It's also probably easier getting there unless people are coming from Philadelphia. So, and I think that there's. I mean, do you think this is going to change any of these neighborhoods with some of the building that may happen if there's new labs that get built?
Well, not if they're taking over, like not if they're initially starting by taking over like
Good point.
vacant places. And I think that people would be happy about that because nobody really wants just like vacant buildings in their community. I feel like it just like leads to, even if it doesn't lead to like issues, it's not a good look.
Well, think about how people react to a vacant house in their neighborhood,
right?
Let alone a vacant building like that. And I think that that's a really good point. It's also probably cheaper to get the vacant building than to build something new. I think there's a couple of risks here too. I mean, this is very exciting to see these companies come to the Philadelphia area, but biotech's a gamble, right? I mean, most of these new drugs, they fail. So if the companies don't succeed, you might have some more empty labs in a few years. That could very well be I hope that doesn't happen. It sounds like all these companies are doing great work, but that could be a negative there for some of these landlords. And the hope is there's more biotech money that's going to flow in, making it more of a hot spot around here. I think this could be great. If this is successful and they can build these labs. I mean, I think about especially like Malvern. Like there's a lot of open space. There's a lot of office parks. Like you got like the Great Valley Corporate Center, Newtown Square. I mean, if you look at what's happened on Route 3 just over the past 10 years, I mean, where they have like the Whole Foods and all those places were empty forever. And so that could be, over time, this could be a good thing if more jobs are coming to the area, especially in some of these communities. Lower Gwinnett is the same thing. So, I memean, they're all very similar suburbs where they're 30, 40 minutes to the city, depending on traffic. So this could be a good thing. Now, there is some government, I don't know what the right word is here, involvement. So, Governor Shapiro proposed a $51.5 billion budget in February, and he allocated $50 million for an innovation fund and designated $30 million to specifically spur life sciences job growth and innovation. So I'd imagine what part of that is that it's, when you look at it, like they talk about having like great universities, researchers, and hopefully it's going to be a bigger investment from the private sector. And that's going to provide annual funding and support large-scale innovation by making investments in these entrepreneurs. Sounds like a lot of like tax credits and that sort of stuff. And they talk about Boston and the Bay Area as the two regions that have dominated. And if you look at like Boston real estate, like it's incredible up there. I mean, it's a smaller city and the prices are higher. So if this continues and they're able to invest in these kind of companies and get them to come to our neck of the woods, I'd imagine that could be, long term, it could be a great thing for homeowners.
Yeah, absolutely.
So exciting stuff here. I can't believe Philadelphia's 15th globally. I mean, were you surprised to see that?
Yeah, that's, for like globally. Wow. Yeah.
I was not expecting that. That was a pleasant surprise here. Usually Philadelphia's at like the bottom of the list, right? It's, I mean, it depends what list. But anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got a couple new listings that we want to share and some open houses this weekend. We'll be right back on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. All right, welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Tymon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we've got two incredible new listings, two awesome open houses you need to check out. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you can't make the open houses or you want a private tour of one of these properties, click on the link in the comments and Sarah can take care of you. So we've got two great new listings, one in Royersford, one in Coatesville. Sarah, which one do you want to talk about first here?
Sure. Maybe we'll start with Coatesville,
right.
120 Pinkerton Road. So this is in an HOA. It's in an end row townhouse, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, 2,202 square feet. It was built in 2015. You've got an attached garage. Your HOA fee is $308 a month. It actually covers a good bit of, it covers things. It has like a health club. You've got a clubhouse, fitness center, game room, and then they also do snow removal, common area maintenance. So it's these townhomes are like square footage wise often as big or bigger than single families. So you've got a lot of space there.
Yeah, this is a pretty nice community. It's over in the Villages at Hillview. It's a 55 plus. This is right off like Route 30 and 82 if you're heading out that way. And the amenities are super nice. It's a big property. It's 2,200 square feet, like you said. And this sits on top of a hill, so you can actually get like some good like sunset views and different things. And it's low maintenance, like Sarah said. So there's actually like a community there versus what you might see in some other places. So that's and they're asking $425 for this property. Showing start on the 20th, and Sarah can get you in. Just click on the link. The other property we've got here is a 2-bed, 2.5 bath townhome in Royersford. It's over in Providence Forge, so it's about 1,400 square feet. These are also really nice properties, very low maintenance. This particular home, it's like I said, about 1,392 square feet. The condition of it's pretty great. They've got new countertops. They've got like a peninsula with like bar seating. They redid all the flooring, so it's very functional, very well updated. They've got some California closets in there, and this is another nice community. It's right in the middle of Royersford, and you're right off 422 there, so you're really close for like commuting purposes. But you're in the back of the community. It's not a through street. And they're going to be asking $314,999 for this home, and showings for this also start on the 27th. So that'll be on the market in about 10 days. Great property in Upper Providence Township, Springford School District, and it's deeded as a condo. So you talk about like low maintenance, like you're not dealing with anything over there.
Right. I mean, this covers exterior building maintenance, common area maintenance, lawn maintenance, snow removal, trash, water. Yeah, you've got a lot covered there.
The nice thing is, if you're not handy, buy a home like this. I learned that the hard way. So that's you big on a lot of home ownership maintenance there?
I think that's Eric's job. I do none of it. Eric does all of it.
Well, that's what I thought, but I have to hire somebody. So at least you got that. We got 2 killer open houses, actually multiple killer open houses. The first is at 1912 Hoffman. So this is in West Passyunk. It's a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, 938 square foot row home that's been fully renovated. So I mean, this is like turnkey. Move in ready. You're right off 19th, 20th Street, just north of Girard Estates. The attention to detail in this home is really nice. And the interesting thing is this is it's a 14-foot wide home, so it's a little wider than like those 12-foot wide row homes. You ever been in one of those 12-foot wide properties?
Yeah, you can really feel the difference when you get the extra 2 feet.
It sounds silly. It's a big deal. And this is going to be open on Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 3. This looks like a pretty good buy. I mean, if you're looking for something turnkey, walk to the Broad Street line, be able to get around Center City pretty easily, and not be in a condo building. I mean, this is a good number. The taxes on this property are only $2,465 a year. The basement's unfinished, so you got some storage down there as well. This is in good shape.
But like unfinished, but clean. Like, because when you talk about like South Philly basements, you never know.
Well, yeah, you might get like the flooded one with the bad sewer pipe. So
the last, the dirt floor.
The dirt floor is wild. I couldn't imagine having a home with a dirt floor. Last open house Sunday, 1 to 3, over at 2325 West 4th Street in Chester. This is another full rehab. They're asking $195. Just had a price adjustment. Go check it out. You want to see any of these homes? Get in touch with Sarah. Click on the link in the comments. You want to follow her? She's at Ty_Ty_Time on Instagram. You can follow me at TomToole3RD. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday, 3 p.m. on Toole Time Real Estate Radio, WWDB 860 AM.